The Stalker. Let me start off with some background. I had been going to the gym for about 6 years, consistently, every single day, and mostly in the evenings around 8 or 9 p.m. And my workouts usually lasted until 10 or 11 p.m. It was the time around summer I switched to a new gym, which was a really big health club chain, etc. I had been going there for about 6 months when an older man around his 30s or early 40s began to approach me nearly every single time I was at the gym. He was short, around 5'8", and I believe he told me his name was Lucas, as well as how old he was, which I forgot. Now, keep in mind, I was an 18-year-old, 5'2", female. So in the beginning, I took his attentions to be friendly, and I was friendly back to him, but tried to end conversations quickly because he liked to chat for a long time, and I just wanted to get my workouts done. In the beginning, when he first started approaching me, he would tell me he thought I was very beautiful, that he would love to take me out for drinks, etc. He asked for my name and how old I was, which I told him because I thought that was innocent enough. He also told me he had a young daughter with his ex, whom he described as psycho. And he told me he would love for me to meet his daughter. Obviously, I brushed all of these invites off, and eventually I began to get really annoyed. I would dread showing up at the gym because I did not want to be approached by him. One day, after about a year of him approaching me nearly every day, regardless of me changing my times of going to the gym, he would spend hours there waiting for me. An older gentleman who was exercising on a bike behind me noticed this man come up to me. By this time, I had been ignoring the creepy guy every single time he approached me for several weeks, pretending to focus extra hard on my workout and listening to my music. He stood next to me and began speaking, calling my name, trying to get my attention, but I just kept ignoring. After a few minutes, I guess he started feeling awkward and walked away. The gentleman behind me got my attention and told me that he had seen this guy talking to me several times and even watching me work out from a distance every time I was at the gym, and that I should report him and straight up just tell him to leave me alone because what he was doing was harassment. I told him thank you and just decided to brush it off as him just being an extra creepy guy. The next time he tried to approach me, I told him to leave me alone, that I had a boyfriend and that I was not interested. After that, he left me alone. Occasionally, I would work out with one of my friends who told me that she noticed a strange older man watching me work out at the gym. But I just brushed that off too. It was stupid of me. I truly thought he was not a threat though. Flash forward a few months. It was around December. I was nearing the end of my workout. It was 11 p.m. when I noticed him at the gym. The strange older guy, who my friend said watched me work out. I did not think he had spotted me yet, so as soon as I saw him, I decided to cut my workout short and began walking to the front of the doors of the gym. I had one of the earphones in and the other one out, just in case. The gym was relatively empty by that time, and so I was a little nervous to walk alone to my car, in the dark, even though I had parked close to the entrance. As I was about to reach the doors, I hear him calling my name.
Emily! Emily!
I immediately began to panic, and I started walking faster. I am not even kidding, started tapping my back and gripped my arm, still saying my name. By this point, some people in the gym had started to pay attention, and I briefly turned to him and yanked my arm away. I ran out of the gym to my car, locked the doors, and left. He had never done anything like that before, so I was shaken by it. By the time I went to work out again the next day, around 8 p.m., I had talked myself out of being scared and decided I would just keep my eyes open and be extra cautious of him if he showed up. I was working out by the dumbbell area on the far end of the gym where the benches are and a mirror spanning the whole wall. Machines and workout equipment were behind me, and through the mirror, I could see everything that was going on behind me. I saw him enter and walk to a machine a few feet behind me, and so I began hurrying my workout. I finished a set of exercise that I was doing, and I looked up into the mirror to see what he was doing, and saw him smiling at me from his machine into the mirror. I got immediate goosebumps and began to put all of my equipment away. I avoided looking in his direction or at the mirror at all. When I came back to pick up my water bottle, which I had left on the bench I was working out on, I briefly noticed someone sitting on the bench next to mine. I looked into the mirror to scan my surroundings again, and right next to me was him, again, staring at me in the mirror. Extremely on the edge and nervous by this point, I immediately left, asking one of the front desk attendants to walk me to my car. I got in my car, locked my doors, and called my boyfriend to tell him what had happened. After 10 minutes of talking in the parking lot, I noticed the big truck directly across from me turn on and turn their headlights on, straight in my face. I thought it was strange, so I squinted into the light to see who might be in there. It was just the outline of a smaller man. I quickly realized it must have been the guy from the gym, and so I charged out of there, checking my mirrors to see if anyone was following me. By that time, I was shaking, and I noticed the truck pulling out of the parking lot and driving behind me. I still could not clearly make out who it was, but I was freaking out. I drove almost all the way home, with the same truck still behind me. I quickly realized I could not literally just lead him to my house, because out of all the stupid things I had done so far, that would be the stupidest. I pulled into a grocery store parking lot that was lit and really populated and waited to see what he would do. He kept driving past me, and I waited 20 minutes before driving home, making sure I was not being followed. It started getting worse. One night, I was walking on the street with some of my friends, just for fun because we were bored. It was getting a bit late, and the streetlights on my street were faulty, so it was bound to be pitch black over there by now. Gradually, we started parting ways in twos and threes into our respective streets, as all of us lived in the same neighborhood, until it was just me, left all by myself. I walked quickly to get home as fast as I could, scolding myself for the stupid, dangerous decisions I had been making after all that had been going on. It did not come as a surprise when I started hearing footsteps following me. It was as if I expected that. I made a run for it, and obviously the footsteps were hot at my heels. I flipped the flash on to see my way home. I did not care if they found out where I lived, because they would definitely know it already, and I would at least be safe inside the walls. I got in and locked the doors and looked out the window. I could barely see anything, but there was a figure outside on the street that slowly walked in front of my house, stood there, and turned to face the house. He waved at me, and I jumped back and locked myself in my room with my extreme amount of anxiety. I told no one about it. It had to be the man from the gym. After all of that, you would think I would just change gyms and call the police. Well, no. Stupid me still denied that it was him or that anything would happen to me. The rest of that week, I had no encounters with him, and so the incident began to leave my mind. The next Tuesday, it was January now, I was at the gym once again and around 11 p.m. I finished my workout and was about to leave. I had not really paid attention to whether the guy was there or not, and I scanned the gym once before leaving, but did not see anything. I headed to my car, got in, forgot to lock the doors, and sat there texting my boyfriend, asking when he could call. We were long distance, so we usually called at night. All of a sudden, someone started knocking on my window. I jumped slightly, and I looked out my window, and it was him. He starts calling my name, and I see him reaching down to the door handle. Somehow, in those few moments, I remember I had not locked my doors, and I immediately hit the lock button. The smile that formed on his face was one I will never, ever forget. He looked almost smug, as if he knew that even that would not help me. He began banging on my window and telling me to unlock and open the door repeatedly. Eventually, he moved to pulling on the door handle. In retrospect, I realized my first instinct should have been to call the police, but in that moment, I decided to call my boyfriend. My phone instantly hooked up to my car's Bluetooth, and it started to ring very loudly, even on the outside. I think that is really what saved me that night. As soon as he had heard the ringing, I assumed he believed I was calling the police, and he immediately ran away and got into the car parked opposite to mine. He pulled out, and it was the same big truck that had been shining its headlights at me and had followed me almost all the way home a week before. I was shaking with fear and talking to my boyfriend, explaining what had happened. And I also called my mom and told her what had happened. I don't know why, but I never called the police to report it, mostly because I wasn't sure they would believe me or that I had any evidence to back me up. But I've since then changed gyms, gotten a taser, I work out only during the day, and I look over my shoulder every single time I am somewhere alone. I still wonder, and the thought of it haunts me, of what would have happened that night if I had not remembered that my doors were unlocked. He could have been a kidnapper or a serial killer or practically anything. I had learned my lesson, or at least I thought so. We hope you enjoyed this story. Would you like to hear what happened later? If you would like more stories like this, please be so kind to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.